This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Я тут не виноват, сейчас это... У меня свет рубануло на мгновение. Типа перепад на этого электричества был.
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome was
Меня закрыло!
He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't
А
go
что я сделал
anyway
такого,
except
что он это
badly.
закрыл дверь?
The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell.
Я убрал. Стоит не дота.
Would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer.
Я случайно закрыл
It's
дверь,
even
походу.
closer. Here it comes.
Короче, не надо дергать кнопки в первой комнате.
All of his co-workers would go, oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement? Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No, 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 no. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition. I have to say, I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing true effort for a noble cause. Perhaps 50 clicks will do it. Yes, almost certainly 50 clicks.
Не, второй раз это уже неинтересно кликать. Первый раз было неинтересно поделать.
No, I'm still not feeling it. I want this achievement to have meant something. It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment, a willingness to go all the way, no matter what the cost. Why don't you go put 20 clicks into door number 417? Oh, great. Now, go click a few times on door 437. Excellent. I think we're getting somewhere. Now, door 415. Let's give it 10 clicks or so.
Раз, два, три.
Now, back to door number 437.
Представь, что я сделал 10.
Let's see. How about you click on, well, I don't know, the copy machine?
Где копировальный формат? Я не вижу. Я вижу компики. Компик. Компик. Телефон. А!
All right, back to room 417. I'm really feeling it now. I think we're getting somewhere. Okay, now go climb on employee 419's desk.
А где он? 419. Здесь есть что? 24, 23, 21, 18. А вот он. И как? А?
Yes! This is great. You're putting it all on the line, Stanley. I like that. All right, let's keep it up. Go give me a few clicks on door 416.
416.
We've almost got it. Now the copy machine, do that one again.
Блять, а тут голос, ну сука, он прям с ума сходит.
Finish it off, Stanley. 5 clicks on door 430.
Раз, два.
Yes! We did it! Oh, wow. That felt amazing. Oh, you really earned it, Stanley. Nothing could hold you back. Yes, I'm very proud of how far we've come today. Just think, only a few minutes ago, you believed an achievement was worth 5 little clicks. Really now? What were you thinking?
Ну, то где-то можно в окно выйти. Где-то можно выйти в окно. Тут компьютер. Ладно. Ладно, пойдем дальше.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
О, что выберешь себе? Пойдем по сюжету. Откроется, ладно. Тоже закрыто. Тоже закрыто. Тоже закрыто.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Презентация. Круговорот. Природы. Картинки тут интересно. Ладно, пойдем дальше. О, складная.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Я хочу спрятаться
There was
здесь.
nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow. Just coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Нифига. Он заключен? Заключен. Ладно. Эгей, босс.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Stanley just sat around Stanley simply began entering random codes into the keypad, knowing full well the sheer statistical unlikelihood that this would ever result in a correct combination. If he knew that yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Кнопка. Большая страшная кнопка. Блядь, загрузка другой лот. Отлично. Как так-то?
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Возврат. Ой, выход. Ладно, пошли сюда.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens.
Ебать,
What
тупо телек,
horrible
лазом
secret
кино
did this
смотреть.
place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Вижу третий. Где кнопка 3? Я не вижу третью. Пятую вижу, первую, вторую видел, четвертую видел. Где третья? Сука, а где третья? Я не вижу третью кнопку. Ты видишь? Я вот пятую вижу, третью нет. Что здесь страшно? Нормально. 1, 2, 4. А, вот он, 3 нашел. Ну, просто потык. Может, что-нибудь даст. Хотя вряд ли. Я не знаю, сейчас надо будет тогда сделать просто перерыв, пока я скачаю что-нибудь. Похавать схожу еще заодно. Чаю, поиграем чуть в эту. Там, часик, может, потом где-то на час перерыв, и потом что-нибудь из этого пойду пойгамаю. Кинь мне в это, в Дискорд лучше скопирую, у тебя же это... Ты же не обновлял страницу.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control?
Спасибо.
Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You're supposed to let it go. Turn the controls off and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires.
Что мне
This is
делать-то?
much better than what I had in mind.
Я вам
What a
хочу
shame we
сказать.
have so little time left to enjoy
Сука,
it.
открой дверь.
Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start.
Вообще красный
What's
ход.
that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when
Я
I
не
tell it, I
понимаю.
simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better.
Да, я не понимаю.
Only 34 seconds left. But I'm
Там, я
enjoying
понимаю,
this
что
so
можно
much.
как-то типа офнуть
You
эту
know
систему.
what? To hell with it. I'm going to put
G,
some
тут
extra
везде
time
G,
on the
типа
clock.
фиолетовые кнопки оба я нашел, типа они
These
G.
are precious additional
Не
seconds.
понимаю.
Time doesn't grow on trees.
Блядь.
Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're
Или
supposed
типа
to be
их две
doing right
надо
now?
нажать теперь.
Or did you just assume when you saw that
Я типа не
timer that
понимаю.
something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be
Оно не
beaten?
спасает меня,
One
помогите.
sold? Do you have any idea
Не
what your
понимать.
purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge, it's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and no ending here, just you.
Помогите, пожалуйста, я не хочу
Will
умирать.
you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the
Оно
same.
все не работает, оно все умерло.
And believe me, I've
Fuck.
been laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment
Проводов
you
электроэнергии
fade in
нету.
until the moment I say,
Питания нет, взорваться. Смерть. Тупо тайрая смерть. Здорово, кстати, Даня, я увидел, что ты залетел на стрим. Все, опять что ли? Представляешь? Так не
Stanley
будет.
decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others, so the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Спасибо. Я знаю, что я могущественный. О, другая комната.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Welcome to the whiteboard ending. Белая доска конец? Или я неправильно перевожу? Типа не доска, это по-другому board. Ну ладно. Меня заигнорили, даже никто ничего не ответил. Я спросил, меня заигнорили, я обиделся. О, бумажка. Почему? Ой, я аж присесть могу, ничего. Да что я могу?
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about... What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door. All right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see, there's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far.
Давай тачки.
Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. A 1? I mean, I can understand if you had reservations, you saw ways the game could be improved to more fully express itself mechanically and artistically, but a 1? But I guess it isn't my place to judge. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look. Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up.
Тук. Да, сложные задачки.
In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience. You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out, I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see.
О, еще Майнкрафт будет, Аня, полюбим.
Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot. Well, Stanley, is this any better? At last, the one thing you've always desired. A game I had absolutely nothing to do with. But is it enough? Tell me that, Stanley. Will it ever be enough? Well, I'll say this. I'm done making things for you. From now on, I will only create to fulfill a greater artistic purpose. Watch this, Stanley. I'm going to build a house. This will go here. No, here. And then...
А, чтобы, блин, точно. Он просто здесь уберет блок.
Let's see, what does it need? Yes, of course.
Нет, почему? Я видел стрим по ней.
Yes, it's complete.
Да и плюс много приколов было, типа, с этим моментом. Отсылки на Майнкрафт в играх.
But you've only seen it from the outside. You've only gotten half the experience. Please, step inside and make yourself comfortable.
Я не хочу заходить, отстань. Не хочу. Закрой дверь. Не хочу заходить. Оптимизация лучше, чем в Майнкрафте. Мне нравится. Звуки хорошие. Цветочки же надо собирать. Звук открывания двери. Я не буду заходить, отстань от меня. Мне нравится домик. Он не 8-этажный. Переделай, пожалуйста. Я не хочу. В смысле нет выбора? Я хочу не заходить. Почему игра не предусмотрела такой вариант? Потому что на пиратках только озвучка есть российская. Пиратская озвучка. Не оффом. Ясно, понятно. Ладно. Все.
Isn't it perfect? It could only be better if... Wait, that's it. We must rebuild it out of diamond. Diamond everything. Yes, yes, yes. Come along, Stanley. We have to go mining.
Могу разбиться насмерть нахер.
Oh my, it looks like it's going to get a bit dark. Have you brought a light?
Да, без света нормально справимся. Там подрывашкин должен быть.
Oh, no, 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 no. This is far more open-ended than I had in mind. I'm looking for something more narrow and linear. Something that makes you feel utterly irrelevant. This won't do at all. 1 out of 5. Even the diamonds.
А, нет, все тут тупик просто. Так неинтересно. 300 мегабайт, нафиг. Ради озвучки только. Ну классно, но чуть мне лень стал качать 300 мб.
Yes, I don't even know what this game is, but I love it.
Портал, что ли? Да, Портал.
Listening to me talk. Oh, it's inspired. I couldn't have done it any better myself. What is this game even supposed to be? I can't figure it out. Okay, now I'm curious. Let's go find out what the hell this is. It's a puzzle. Critical thinking, Stanley. Your forte. Genius. No, actually, you know what? I think that's plenty. I really don't care much to see you stumble.
Ну, ебать. Ну да, это не загадки, которые мы с тобой решали. 2D было. Там есть? Ничего не видно. Закрыт. Ничего, никуда. А, там свет горит, значит туда идем. Компьютер работает. Компики работают. Куда я пришел? Массовое нажимание кнопочек. О, я игру сломал.
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice. And if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end. Sends out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
Здорово, Миша Лэп. Начинаем сначала.
All of his co-workers were... Wait, no. This isn't the right office, is it? Is this Stanley's office?
Что звуки странные? Нормально.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief,
Да я ходил уже
Stanley decided to
направо.
go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an... Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers
Я хожу по
blinking
кругу.
mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Нет?
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Взрыв мозга. Да, немного кто из Украины говорит на русском.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Ну, бывает, да. Опять новый коридор.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track. But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here, it's, left. Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down. Okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Я ничего не хаваю, просто тарелка стоит.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler.
Блять, не смотрим, пацаны. Не смотрим. Опа, Ctrl 2. Все, никто не видит, никто ничего не видит, никто ничего не видит. Ну ладно.
How about rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, hmm? Okay, from the top.
Сломал игру. Ладно. На этом мы пока закончим игрой. После перекура продолжим стрим, а сейчас надо малость отдохнуть и похавать. Так что залетаем позже, будет интересно. А я пошел похавать.